Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second webinar in 24 hours. Yesterday, we were joined by the fantastic Marcus Sheridan to talk about these pages on websites. And today, we're going to talk about social proof. Why you need social proof to impress both humans and robots, and why you've kind of got a window now, I think, for the next 3 months to the end of the year, 2.5 months to the end of the year, to start planning for next year. So it felt like a good topic to be talking about today. Specifically, what we're going to cover off. And we've been banging on about social proof for years. I remember in 2018, someone said to us, Yardstick, bang on about social proof a lot. And you know what? He's right, we do. And there's a bloody good reason for it. In fact, there's 2 reasons for it now. It impresses humans and it impresses robots, AI robots. And we're going to talk about a little bit about why, a couple of slides on theory. And then we're going to dive deep into the 10 types of social proof you're going to need in 2026. We're going to talk about why you need it. We'll have a little bit about maybe how we can help and things you should be doing yourself. And then, because 10 is quite a big number, I'm going to put myself in your shoes and prioritize what you should be doing based on what I think you must do, should do, and could do. Always like that framework, so let's give that a go. So we'll do a bit of theory, we'll do the 10 types, and we'll send you away with a plan. Hopefully that sounds good. Dan will explain a couple of other things about how we're going to do it.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, 10 is a big number, isn't it? I mean, 2 webinars in 2 days feels like a big number. Let's do 10 webinars in 10 days. Actually, let's not. Right, so what do we all need to know for today's session? Well, first things first, we are recording the webinar today, so don't worry too much about making any notes. Focus instead on getting stuck in. And of course, it's a nice, safe space we have here on the webinars, isn't it? Which means we encourage plenty of questions and comments. Agree with us, disagree with us, tell us we're talking nonsense, or tell us that we're speaking complete sense and you've learnt a lot. I think I prefer that one. I think Phil would too. So you can do that by using the Q&A box or the chat. I'll be monitoring both and I'll read some out at regular intervals. And depending on where we end up in 60 minutes time, we'll sweep as many up as we can before we say goodbye. Now, I mentioned earlier we're recording the webinar. Well, you'll receive a neatly packaged follow-up email with a video link, all the important notes and resources we mention later today. Of course, as always, we have Abby to thank for that. We'll be working furiously behind the scenes to make that happen. So let me pass you over to Phil, who's going to give us 10 ways to impress humans and robots with social proof. Phil, over to you.
Cheers, mate, thanks. Right, so let's start with the why. Simon Sinek always talks about that. Let's talk about starting with why. And social proof has been essential to impressing humans for years, decades now. And there's a few reasons for that. First is showing beats telling. So you will say that you're great. You will talk about the outcomes you achieve for clients. You'll talk about the peace of mind, you give them the reassurance, you give them whatever it might be, the benefits of the service. But you'll talk about that. That's fine. But showing them those benefits using the thoughts and words of other people is so much more powerful. And it's incredibly powerful on their digital journey to your door. So everybody, whether it's a new client, a potential team member if you're recruiting, a potential seller if you're looking to buy IFA businesses, they all go on a digital journey to your door. So in times gone by, when I started in financial services, if a potential client was referred to a couple of different financial advisors, you know, their accountant recommended them somebody, their best mate recommended them somebody, and they've got 2 names, the name of the advisor or the name of the firm, but they've got a couple, they would have probably just picked up the phone to one of them. Whoever answered the phone first, they would have booked a meeting with. The level of due diligence was really quite low. Now, though, fast forward to 2025, that same person has got Google on their phone, their laptop, their iPad, and now they've got ChatGPT or similar. I'll use ChatGPT as shorthand for every other AI application of that nature. And what they're going to do, they're going to search of that person online. And it's why Marcus, who was on the webinar yesterday, talked about 70 to 80% of the buying decision made before somebody meets you. And that's because people search for you online. They first meet you on the Google search results page and get to know you on your website. And in that example, where I was recommended to an advisor that my best friend uses and one that my accountant uses, I'm kind of scoring up points on that digital journey and working out who I'm going to get in touch with. So social proof is vital for impressing prospects on that digital journey to the door. And then for those of you who want clients in a relatively tight local area, and also if you work in niches, there's a few people on this call I can see work in niches, helps to boost your search engine optimization as well. So for humans, showing beats telling, it impresses people on that digital journey to your door, and it boosts your search engine optimization. And that has been true since whenever Google became omnipresent in our lives. Since then, though, what, maybe 2 years ago, we have had robots come on, ChatGPT and similar. And for these machines, how you want to call them, your social proof is an expertise indicator. So one of the things we need to remember is that we as consumers use ChatGPT and other similar LLMs very differently to the way we use Google. So the average search on Google is something like 6 words. It's really quite short. The average prompt, and really important that we differentiate between search on Google and prompts and questions in AI. The average question or the average prompt in AI is 24 words long. Big difference. And we use it differently. And one of the ways we use ChatGPT, etc., differently is to ask it for who is the best, which is better, compare. Yeah, we're using it almost as a human, a counterparty, asking it questions. And if you ask ChatGPT or an AI application who is the best, compare these two financial advisors given my circumstance, it's going to look for expertise indicators. So your social proof helps to tick that box. Your social proof, we talked about earlier, also boosts your search engine optimization, where you rank on Google. And that's at the intersection between SEO, ranking on Google, and AIO, AI optimization. Because ChatGPT, etc., when it is looking to answer, who are the 3 financial advisors in Nottingham? Who are the best 3 financial advisors in Norwich? You know what? It does a Google search. Yeah, it uses the information out on Google. And therefore, to a degree, the higher you rank on SEO, there's a logic, more likely you are to be ranked by AI. Not guaranteed, but there is a link. And then it helps humans find you. Yeah, this stuff. It helps humans find you, and it helps AI impress those humans who are looking for you. And some of those humans are looking because they've been referred to you. Some of those humans are looking because they're doing a service-based search. So social proof, to sum up this section, it's always, always, always been important. That's why we've banged on about it, to use those words. And for the last however many years now, Yardstick's been going. What is it, Dan? 8 years, 6 months, 8 years, 10 months, something like that.
Yeah, it's coming up to a decade. It's scary.
That's going to be a big party. So it's always been important. It's doubly important now. So as we head into 2026, what are the 10 types of social proof that we should be having? And I have not ranked these deliberately. So there are 10. Believe me when I say that there are 10. But I've not ranked them. And that's because I'm going to do the prioritization at the end. So where do we start? Client testimonial videos. For me, these are absolutely essential forms of social proof. The vast, vast, vast majority of financial planning and advice practices do not have these. There's all sorts of reasons why they don't have them. They might not allocate the time, the money, etc. There's all sorts of reasons why they don't have them. But they are, for me, probably the gold standard of social proof. And what we're looking for is clients to tell their stories. Why they came to you, broadly what you've done, but most importantly, what's changed in their lives. How do they feel about their financial future because they're working with you? Could they have done it themselves? Would they recommend you on to other people? We're looking to tell their story in 2 to 3 minutes. Those videos can be recorded face-to-face or remotely. We've got a video team here who can help you if you don't want to do this yourselves, can record videos face-to-face on location. We've even recorded videos in clients' houses. Always good. Always good fun. Or we can do them remotely. We've been doing that for about 5 years since COVID stopped us doing face-to-face videos back in 2020. And then once you've got the videos, you would use them on your website, in your social media, in your nurturing of prospects. There's so many places that you can use them. Really important when they go on your website, each individual video has its own individual page. And we put the transcript on as well. Because humans will watch the video, they'll probably select a client who looks most like them. Robots won't watch the video. They will, however, read the transcript. So we put the video on a website for the human, and we put the transcript on for the robot. But client testimonial videos for me, we do get quite a bit of pushback. In fact, I think Dan's got a question in a minute that came in before the webinar about pushback on client testimonial videos. So we'll deal with that. And if anybody's got any concerns about client testimonial videos or questions about how you do them, pop that in the chat. But we do get quite a bit of pushback, but for me, they are incredibly important. Dan, what was the question we had?
So there's a question from James who sent it through beforehand. And James says, how do you approach clients about taking part in video shoots? Because I don't think many of my clients will want to do it.
Okay, James, so providing your clients providing you don't work in a niche of MI6 operatives or SAS team members, then, and if you did work in that niche, I could absolutely see why your clients won't want to do it. But providing you're not, then if in my experience, if you ask the right clients in the right way, you will get enough people to do it. Their motivation's interesting. So whenever I went on to video shoots, face-to-face shoots, I would always ask the client, why have you done this? Because you kind of getting to know the client beforehand, you're having a bit of a chat. And I would always ask, why have you chosen to do this? And the answer was always very simple. I want to say thank you, or it's my way of saying thank you. So clients will pay your fees gladly, but that's kind of table stakes. It's a hygiene factor. The video is an opportunity for them to go above and beyond and say thank you to you. So the first thing I would do is just reframe it a little bit and think about the person's motivation for doing it. Then just accept our evidence that clients, if you ask the right ones in the right way, they are prepared to do it. You generally need to assume a 50% hit rate. So if you want to do 3 client videos, you'd have to ask 6 clients. And to make life easier, we've got a template email that you can use. It starts off with something along the lines of, got a favor to ask. You don't want to do it, just click delete and we'll never talk about it again. Yeah, and once you've done that, you can ask, you kind of got permission to ask. And if you don't want to ask by email, you can use that as a script to ask on the phone. But in my experience, we've never had to stop a client video testimonial project because the advisor couldn't find clients to get involved. I think there are a few people on this call today who have asked clients to take part in testimonial videos, and might be worth, GP, I can see you're here. If you want to put a comment in, that will be great, because I can see a few people on here who have got client testimonial videos and have approached them. So maybe some people on this call can give a bit of value and a bit of reassurance to other people who might be concerned. That's a long-winded answer down to a short question, sorry. What have we got in the chat? I can just see something come in the chat.
So GP's expanded. So I think there was hesitancy at the beginning, but several clients were happy to participate, and overall it's been great.
Abby, perhaps you can have a quick look at the Broome website and just put the link into Broome's videos while we're here as well.
I can't message everyone, unfortunately. I didn't want to throw you under the bus, but if you want to give me access, I can absolutely do that.
No worries. Maybe Dan could do that instead.
No, I've got the same restriction.
What's going on here? Never mind. Never mind. We'll put that in the follow-up note, shall we?
I'll do that.
We'll put that in the follow-up note. Right. Next, number 2, Google reviews. Google reviews are incredibly important. First reason, your Google reviews appear top right-hand corner in the Google business profile of a brand-based search. So if I'm recommended to a financial advice firm, let's take GP's firm Broome, IFA, down in Brentwood. If I'm recommended to Broome, I'm probably going to check them out. It might be because I just want some basic information, the telephone number, their email address, want to check the postcode for their parking, just basic information. But I might also be recommended to another firm. So I am comparing and contrasting the two. So when I search online for, in this case, Broome IFA, Google business profile comes up with a load of Google reviews. So it impresses prospects who are doing a company brand search. Clearly, we can use those Google reviews elsewhere in your marketing. We can embed them in your website. Every time you get a new Google review in, they can be put on social media. If the Google review is from a client who was previously recommended to you, a new client was previously recommended to you, cut and paste it, send it to the original person who introduced you to just show them the outcome, thank them again for the referral. So there's loads of ways you can use Google reviews in your marketing. It's also a local SEO ranking factor. So if someone does a service-based search, financial advisor Nottingham, once you get past the ads, you get to a section that says business. That shows 3 firms. Google's algorithm to dictate whether you're in those first 3 firms or not is based on a variety of different things, including number of Google reviews, recency of Google reviews, and quality of Google reviews. So Google reviews are incredibly important. And for me, those Google reviews need to be a partner platform with vouched for. So I would be strongly recommending every firm on here has reviews on both Google and vouched for. If anybody disagrees, feel free to put it in the chat. If anybody's got any questions about that, put it in the chat. But I strongly recommend having both. First reason is because if I'm recommended to GP, I might not Google Broome, I might Google GP's name. And therefore, your vouched for reviews appear when I search for the advisor's name. So Google reviews on a brand search for the business, vouched for reviews on a brand search for the advisor. So ticking 2 boxes. Second reason, Google reviews are hard to get. You've got to have a Gmail account to leave a Google review. Doesn't mean they're not worthwhile getting, they absolutely are, but it's just harder to get because you've got to have a Google account. Plus, when someone leaves a Google review, there is 2 questions. How many stars out of 5? And then a blank box. When people are met with a blank box, they panic and don't know what to type in. So there's a couple of reasons why Google reviews are harder to get. And for every 1 Google review you get between 5 and 10 on vouched for. But for me, the key reason here is they're a partner platform because they cover another base. Clearly, you can use the vouched for reviews in your marketing. You can embed them on the website with all the rep tools that vouched for offer. You can use them in your prospect nurturing. There's the top rated guide every year, top rated advisor, top rated firm in the Times and elsewhere. And this year they introduced the awards as well, which were lovely. And were the first awards that I know of that are based on client reviews rather than what the judges think. So I would be using 2 platforms, Google and vouched for. Dan, there's something in the chat.
Yeah, a comment in from Rachel that says Google reviews have been an incredible referral generator for them, and they've only got 25.
Nice. Thank you, Rachel. Promise to everybody else that was not set up before this webinar. Rachel, maybe tell us a bit more about how you collected those reviews and how that's worked for you. But thank you for the comment. Now, there is a third platform that some firms may wish to consider, and this is Glassdoor. So, Glassdoor, and if anybody on here has got a Glassdoor profile that runs a business, owns a business, or manages a business, and the business has got a Glassdoor profile, just put a note in the chat. But Glassdoor is a platform where current and former employees can leave reviews for their current or former employer. And I would say it's appropriate for larger firms. If you're a sole trader with no staff, then you're hardly going to go and produce a Glassdoor profile and review yourself, no matter how tempting it might be. But if you've got a team, and the larger the team, the more likely you are to have Glassdoor. Now, the page shows a variety of different things about the business, but primarily it's there to surface and showcase reviews. Now, one thing that's really interesting with Glassdoor, or two things actually. The first is the page, the Glassdoor page, if your business has got one, often appears quite high up on a Google brand search. So recently, when I've been Googling the yardstick agency, because I do from time to time, you've got the yardstick website at the top. Second link down, Glassdoor reviews. We're working with a firm at the moment. Their Glassdoor profile is the third link down. And this takes me on to the second point. The reviews that they have on Glassdoor are negative. They're not great. Now, they're quite historical, but they're still not great. And they didn't know they had them until I pointed it out. And that's the second issue with Glassdoor. Current and former employees can go on there and leave reviews positively or negatively. And there's nothing you can do to stop them, assuming those reviews are within the guidelines of Glassdoor. So what I would be suggesting to firms is get ahead of the game, control the narrative, build your Glassdoor profile, reach out to team members, as we do at Yardstick, and get them to leave reviews. Control the narrative, try and control what goes on there as much as you can. And therefore, if someone does go on and starts ranting on a keyboard, as sometimes people do, then there's already a load of positivity on there anyway. So if anybody does have a Glassdoor profile, then come back to us on here, because I'm interested to know how it works. I would, if you do employ people after this call, I would go and do a quick search on Glassdoor. Yeah. So go to Google, type your business name in, and then Glassdoor, and see what comes up, and see if there's any reviews on there. Because I've seen it twice, really recently, where the firm has got negative reviews, and that could damage their recruitment. It could certainly damage client recruitment as well, if there's negativity there. So Glassdoor reviews, and we'll come back in a bit to talk about where that ranks in the shoulda, coulda, woulda profile. If anybody wants some help with Glassdoor, we can help with building profiles. Right, next, client surveys. So client surveys are a really important form of social proof. Personally, I would suggest that you run client surveys at fixed points in time. So we run our client survey, for example, if I was running a financial advice business, I think October every 2 years. And the reason I suggest doing fixed points in time, 3 reasons. First, you get a higher response rate. Second, you can more easily compare and contrast change from one fixed point to another. And third, if you're not sending client surveys after an annual review meeting or after you've onboarded a new client, it frees up that time to be collecting Google and Vouchable reviews, which are incredibly important. So for me, client surveys at fixed points in time, and Google and Vouchable reviews after you've onboarded a new client or you've done an annual review. So what are the 5 reasons to run a client survey? Number 1, shows you care. If you ask your clients what they think and then do something with that information, shows you care, shows you trying to improve things, shows you want their opinion. Second, helps you to improve your business. So client survey will tell you, your clients will tell you what they like that you're doing right now, which is nice to hear. You can carry on doing it, but it doesn't help you improve the business. They will tell you what they dislike that you're doing right now, and therefore you can do something to improve the business. And they might tell you the things that they would like you to do that you're not already doing, again, to help you improve the business. If you use the client survey in the right way, hint, do not ask an NPS score question, because NPS, don't use NPS. Anybody wants to know why, ask me and I'll tell you. But if you ask the right questions, for example, has working with us helped achieve your financial goals? And 99.35% of people say yes, it has. That's a stat that should go in your marketing. It's not 100%, 99.35, which means it's more authentic. It's accurate. So it should give data to use in your marketing. Your client survey should support a referral and recommendation strategy by showing you which clients would recommend you on, they're your advocates, by showing you which clients have recommended you on in the past 12 months, they're your active advocates, and then explaining any barriers to recommending you. And then lastly, and this came in from a guy called John Netting told me this, from Bear Rock, Ironshire. And he's really positive about client surveys because his view is that they help to identify problems when they're small and relatively easy and inexpensive to fix, and when they're big, really difficult to fix and really expensive to fix. So 5 reasons to run a client survey. I don't know if we've got any questions so far, Dan, but we do get a bit of pushback sometimes from often networks and PR insurers about client surveys. But generally speaking, providing you take them on the journey with you, you can overcome that. And if anybody wants any help running client surveys, we've got a package that does that, agrees the questions, sends it out, does the analysis, does the follow-up, etc. But Dan, have we got anything that we need to deal with right now?
No, we've got one Glassdoor question from a little bit earlier, but we'll sweep that up at the end.
Okay, no worries. Right. Next, awards. So, awards. I think there's 3 types of awards you could consider. Local business awards. So, Business of the Year Nottingham, Professional Service Award of the Year Nottingham, for example. Trade awards. So that might be, what have we got? Money Marketing, Professional Advisor, New Model Advisor, Top 100, Money Age, Money Marketing, that sort of stuff. And then niche awards. If you niche down into a sector, doctors, dentists, vets, that sort of stuff, there might be awards that you can go and you can enter. And what I'd say here is, do research. Not all awards are equal. Some are the type of awards where you get an email through saying, we've won this award, and you never entered it, part with £2,000, and you will get the trophy. Just ignore those. Others, where the judging process is clean, they're the ones you should focus on. So choose carefully. When the window opens for entries, because they all have a window, look at the categories and think, yeah, that one might work, that one might work. And occasionally look at some slightly left field categories, because they might be easier to win, they might get fewer entrants. Look at the questions and the criteria and ask yourself honestly, can we give good answers for this? Look at previous winners. And if you like the categories, you've got a good set of answers, you can meet the criteria, and the previous year's winners are broadly in your peer group, then go for it. Take your time with the entry. Take your time with the entry. I spoke to an advisor last year who told me he'd written his chartered advisor entry in 20 minutes. Yeah, that ain't going to cut it with the judges. Yeah, you've got to work really hard with these. And then promote your successes. You've got to PR the PR. So if you are shortlisted, shout about it on your social media with your clients, etc. If you win, shout about it. If you don't win, shout about it. Yeah, because you were shortlisted. Hey, have another bite of the cherry. But awards are an incredibly important form of social proof for robots and for humans. And again, at Yardstick, we've got a good track record of writing award entries on behalf of our clients. So if anybody ever wants to have a conversation about which awards to consider, when they should do it, and how to write really good entries, and then how to promote them, let us know. Dan, we got something in the Q&A?
Yeah, we've got 2 questions. One about awards, which I'll get to in a second. But first of all, let's just go back to client surveys, where Rachel asks, would you recommend client surveys to be anonymous to help clients feel able to be more honest?
It's a really good point. So we give them the option in the surveys that we do. Because on one hand, we might have a situation where somebody is more honest if it's anonymous, but then the information becomes less actionable. You can't follow it up quite so easily with the individual. So it is a balance. And the way we've struck it is at the start of the survey, we give people the opportunity, when we're running these on behalf of clients, we give people the opportunity to leave their name or answer anonymously. And then the last question, or almost last question, I can't quite remember, is, do you want to change your mind? Yeah. Do you want to move? If you previously selected anonymous, do you now want to answer it and give your name? So we're trying to give people the choice there, Rachel. Because in an ideal world, you want honesty and you want those comments, those honest comments, to be attributable to a person so that you can then go and do something about it. Yeah. I hope that helps, Rachel.
Brilliant, thanks, Phil. And then on the awards, so Matt asks a good question. The cynic in me needs to ask, don't you have to buy a seat or a table to win?
In all those awards that I've talked about that are clean, the answer is no. Genuine answer is no. And some evidence to support that. I have judged entries. I was a judge at the Money Marketing Awards this year and judged the best small firm category. I read 18 entries, 2,000 word entries, 18 of them, and didn't get told at that point who bought a table, who'd sponsored it. I did the interviews, didn't at that point say who'd get to know who'd sponsored it, who bought a table. In fact, I never got to find out who'd sponsored it and bought a table. Yeah. It's just not the way these things work at this advisor level. Second thing I would say, again, to support this, is I went to the Money Marketing Awards. Yardstick were nominated. We bought a table, and then we passed those tickets on to other people so we could decide who we sit with and have a good night. And guess what? Yardstick didn't win. But I did make it up onto the stage. I made it up onto the stage because I was picking up an award for Lottie Kent, who won a fantastic category. And Lottie didn't go. So Lottie won without buying a seat. We bought a table and we didn't win. So for me, in my experience, there's just no correlation. But I'm going to step off my soapbox, Dan, because I could carry on with that one for a while.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you gave us the context to why you were on stage, because otherwise people might think you just crawled on and wouldn't get off.
Stormed the stage because we didn't win.
Yeah.
Right, so we've done awards, talked about awards. If anybody's got more questions on those, come back to us. Right, accreditations. So some humans will find accreditations such as chartered, certified, accredited, etc., whether it's through the CII, the CISI, LIBF, so many acronyms, isn't there? Resolution, SOLA, etc. They will find them reassuring. And there's various reasons why they might find them reassuring. And once you've got them, you absolutely can use them in your marketing to set you apart from your peers and competitors. And from the robot perspective, someone might type in, I would like a chartered financial planner. And what you then need to do is to have explained on your website that you're a chartered firm, you're a chartered financial planner, try and educate those consumers, but also so that educational information that's on your website is matched by ChatGPT and the AI. So what I would say here is, from a marketing perspective, I'm not sure I would be using marketing as a reason to go and get yourself chartered, get yourself certified, etc. I think there's other forms of social proof that are potentially more powerful. And certainly when it comes to Yardstick, we can help you in no way, shape or form to get chartered or certified. But if you have got it, then I would absolutely use it in your marketing to set yourself apart from your peers and competitors, but make sure you're educating both the consumers and robots on your website and elsewhere about why you are chartered, how you became chartered, certified or accredited, or whichever one it is, how it sets you apart, etc. Marcus talked a lot yesterday about education educational marketing. And again, I think that's really, really important. So chartered, certified, accredited, if you've got them, use them. Next, press coverage. So last month we did a webinar with Greg Simpson of Press for Attention. Abby will put a copy of the link in the follow-up. And press coverage is, for humans, it is a massive trust indicator. If you are quoted in the Times, the Telegraph, the Mail, the BBC, wherever it is, that's seen by consumers, existing clients, prospects, and also professional connections as an expertise indicator and a trust indicator. And that's simply because if the BBC is trusting of you, why shouldn't I trust you? Or insert other media outlets instead of the BBC. So they're a trust indicator and a marker of expertise for humans. They're the same for robots. And I'm convinced over time, those robots, the AI, will start to rank individual advisors higher when they give off trust indicators and markers of expertise. For in press coverage is a good example. And we're going to get to another couple in a minute. Getting in the press is easier than it's ever been. Social media, to a degree, has democratized PR. It's very, very easy now, as Greg talked about on the webinar, to go and find out which journalists cover your beat, as Greg put it. You know, write about the things that you want to talk about. You can find their email addresses really quite straightforwardly now. You can follow them on social media. They've never been more contactable. And that's a double-edged sword, because if someone's never been more contactable, that means their inbox is full. So you have got to really select the journalists carefully that you want to nurture. You've got to give them good stuff, tell them things they don't know, make yourself useful with case studies. And then, as Greg talked about in that webinar, plan your strategy. So if they don't reply, plan your follow-up. And if you do all that, it is relatively straightforward to get press coverage. I would also be thinking about press coverage in both the personal finance press, so on the Saturdays and Sundays in the weekend Times, Telegraph, Mail, etc. But I'd also be thinking about the trade press. Trade press can be a stepping stone to the personal finance press. And again, is seen by clients, prospects, professional connections, and robots as a trust indicator and definitely a marker of expertise. And the trade press, relatively straightforward to get coverage in the trade press. Again, if you're useful to the journalists and you tell them something they don't already know. Of course, when you have got the press coverage, it needs to be promoted. So what would you have? Your website and the logos of the organizations trusted by or quoted in a section. They have a press page. Go and look on the Yardstick website. We've got a press page of all our coverage. You might then promote the coverage on social media. You would put it into your newsletters. You would tell your clients about it. You'd tell your prospects, your professional connections about it. Press coverage, as I say, relatively straightforward to get. More straightforward than most people think. And these days, it doesn't have to cost the earth. You could do it yourself, doing that research process that I've talked about. You could also go and look at a service such as Newspage, which is run by Dominic Hyatt and everybody else at Newspage. And again, I've seen a lot of firms having some really good success with Newspage. So press coverage, massive type of social proof that we should be looking for in 2026 for both robots and humans. Speaking opportunities. Again, this shows if you're invited to speak, whether it's in an event, somebody's webinar, or on a podcast. Again, it's a massive trust and expertise indicator. If you are trusted by somebody that's well known in a sector or on a popular podcast, and even if it's a local podcast, it might be popular locally with a relatively small audience, but actually really engaged audience locally. If you are trusted by that host to speak on their podcast, their webinar, or their face-to-face event, Gives you an opportunity to show off your expertise and show other people that you're trusted as well. It also gives you opportunities to repurpose that content. So the webinar we did with Marcus yesterday will become, we've already talked about putting some of his quotes into it as a carousel. It's going to turn into a blog. We turned Greg Simpson's webinar last month into a blog the following week. There's just so many opportunities to repurpose that content. And it also means you're piggybacking other people's audiences. So they will have their audience that they're promoting their event, webinar, or podcast to, and you might help them by promoting it to yours. But actually, by appearing there as a guest, you are putting yourself in front of their audience. You're on their stage. And that means you're going to reach a new group of people. From an AI perspective, again, it's similar to the press coverage. It's a trust indicator. Yeah. And you can reverse engineer this, by the way. Go and type some questions, some prompts into ChatGPT or whatever you use. Do it in the equivalent of a private browsing or private question. So it doesn't, we're not training it as the questions go. Look at what the results are. Give me the top 3 financial advisors in Nottingham for a 65-year-old thinking about retirement. I want a face-to-face meeting and I want a female advisor. And then click the sources and it will tell you what it's used and you can reverse engineer it. But I do believe the more your name appears online in press or in speaking opportunities, the more you will impress the robots next year. And then the last one, couldn't have done this webinar after yesterday's webinar without talking about disclosing fees online. So I'll tell you in a minute where we put this on the must do, could do, and should do list. But disclosing fees online, as Marcus talked about like yesterday, builds trust. If firms say they are transparent, then why not disclose fees online? Shows transparency. And just to be clear, I think there's pros and cons for doing it. But I think the pros are building. And I think AI is one of the reasons the pros are building. Yeah. Because if people type in, want a financial advisor or know how much they cost, clearly the universe of websites that AI can use will shrink from 100% to actually 14%. It's only 14% of advisors' websites disclose fees online. Yeah. And if you're disclosing fees online, you're going to be in that 14%. So it builds trust. You start to educate clients and prospects about whether they can afford, is not quite right, but whether about how financial advisors charge. Helps to educate them about how financial advisors charge, about what's fair, about what points they charge, etc. What features and benefits of the service. And as we talked about yesterday, it can help generate leads directly. So they are the 10 forms of social proof that you might like to consider in 2025 to impress humans and robots in 2026. What I'm going to do in a minute is prioritize those. I need some water and I can see some things come in on the chat there.
Right, so we've got a couple of questions. So we've got one in from Jessica regarding speaking opportunities. So Jessica says, the idea of speaking opportunities fills me with dread. Other than just doing it and hoping for the best, what tips do you have?
I think doing it and hoping for the best is probably quite a good tip, to be fair. So I think that there's a few here. I would start with where you feel most comfortable. So some people might feel more comfortable talking on a podcast, for example, because if you're talking to a podcast, there's maybe 1 or 2 podcast hosts, and it becomes more of a conversation just between you and them. Much more normal. So you could do that. I think if it's face-to-face events, getting invited to panels is actually quite useful. So I absolutely get why, if you've not done it before, standing up on a stage in front of a room of 100 people and giving a keynote speech is really quite tricky. But it's much less tricky if you were to appear on a panel. There's 3 other people, there's a chairperson asking the questions. The questions are generally prepared beforehand, and it becomes a conversation. Yeah, the spotlight isn't only on you. There's 4 of you up there, and it becomes a conversation. So you could do that in terms of appearing on a panel. You could start with podcasts. Webinars are pretty straightforward. I'm just talking to you, Dan, and talking to you, Abby. This is all quite straightforward and nice and relaxed, isn't it? The other thing you could do is go and get some coaching. I have a speaking coach Chap called Ed Darling. We'll put Ed's details in the follow-up, and Ed did a webinar for us earlier on in the year. And Ed's a great speaking coach, and he will help you overcome whatever makes you nervous, and also will help you, will train you for the environment where you're speaking. It's very different speaking like this to an event with a room full of people. It's very different doing a keynote to some training. So again, long-winded answer, but hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, and it's notable. I mean, Kusal's mentioned a comment to the hosts and panelists saying, Phil, the Darling effect is coming on nicely, I see. So, question from Lance, really interesting one. So Lance says, I'm interested to know why Trustpilot hasn't been mentioned.
Okay, so why has Trustpilot not been mentioned? Personal opinion only. I think that Google and Vouch4 are better platforms. And I think there's a logical decision tree here. Google has to be the first platform because it impresses prospects when they do that brand search for you. There's an immediate hit of positivity. So if Google's the first, we then need to think about what's the second, because Google reviews are hard to get and we don't want to send people down a dead end. So therefore we need to give them another option. And you're right, Lance, it then becomes a conversation about Trustpilot and some others, or Vouch4. And the reason I much prefer Vouch4 is because the reviews appear when someone searches the advisor. So we're ticking another box. You've got all the rep tools. It's sector specific in financial services. You've got the top rated. You've got the awards. Vouch4 will generate occasionally the odd lead directly as well. I'm not particularly bothered about that. That's why I've not mentioned it. So for me, it's just a decision tree. Google, we need another because it's hard to get Google reviews and we don't want to send people down a dead end. Therefore, it spokes off. And I just think Vouch4 is a better proposition. I'm happy to be challenged on it, but I think Vouch4 is a better proposition. Thanks,
Phil. So final question, this was from a while ago when we were talking about Glassdoor reviews. So a question from Claire that says, I don't want my business to have a Glassdoor profile as I feel people might just use it to rant. Is this what you often see?
From time to time, yes. 2 examples this week. You can't actually stop your business having a Glassdoor profile if somebody goes and leaves a review for you. It's one of those strange platforms where there's nothing. Somebody then goes and leaves a review, positively or negatively, or I guess neutrally. And that means that there is now a Glassdoor profile for your business. There's no information on there. You've not claimed it yet. But you do then have to go and claim it, fill it in, etc. So it's one of those things where you might not have any choice. Therefore, let's get ahead of the game and own the narrative by building the profile, making sure it's fully completed, and going to your team members and saying, "Would you mind?" Yeah, and that's, to be fair, exactly what Abby's done at Yardstick. And we've got a bunch of Glassdoor reviews on there. 53, I think now. 51 positive, 2 negative. Go and have a look at the negatives. Go and look at the positives. Right, so we came up with these 10 ideas of things you could do back end of this year, start impressing humans and robots next year. How should we prioritize these? Because 10's a big number. And if you have 10 priorities, you have no priorities. So where to start? And I've always liked this framework: must do, could do, should do. So I thought I'd use it here. Now, if I was running an advice practice, advice planning, mortgage brokerage, and let's just say it was a complete blank sheet of paper, this is where I would start. So my must-dos, I would have on my must-dos client testimonial videos, whether they're recorded face-to-face, in the advisor's office, or in the client's homes. I would be doing Google and Vouch4 reviews, and I would be doing client surveys. For me, those are 3 incredibly important forms of what I call client-driven social proof. So all of those are clients saying positive things about their advisor, their planner, or firm, whether they're saying it on video, on the reviews, or on client surveys. And then you can use all that information in so many different ways. It will be picked up by Google, it will be picked up by the AI if you use it in the right way. So for me, I would have on the must-do list client testimonial videos, minimum of 3 generally. factual Google reviews, and client surveys. Then on the should-do list, I had awards here, whether it's local awards, niche awards, or trade awards. And again, pick carefully. There's probably a dozen options, but I'd pick carefully, and we can help you choose. And here as well, if your business is of a size where it's sensible, I would also be doing Glassdoor reviews, because I think it's partly a risk prevention exercise, but also helps you from a positive aspect of impressing any potential recruits in the future. And I also think it impresses clients, because if those positive Glassdoor reviews come up on the Google search results page, and you never know where someone's going to click. You absolutely never know where someone's going to click. I was chatting with a client of an advisor a few years ago, and we're just talking about that digital journey. And the client of the advisor told me that he went onto Companies House to look at whether the advisor filed his accounts on time, because if he was late filing his accounts, kind of give a negative impression and be a red flag. So you never know what people are going to click. You can't control what people click. You can control what they see. And you can't control whether they click Glassdoor reviews, but you can control whether they see positive Glassdoor reviews based on how you treat your team members and what you get them to do on Glassdoor. So for me, I would get ahead of the game there. So awards and Glassdoor reviews, I will put on the should-do list. On the could-do list, I would have accreditations. And that's really because from a marketing perspective and impressing AI and impressing humans, I wouldn't start going to sit my chartered exams. Yeah, I think there's better reasons to go and be chartered other than marketing. You could do press coverage. I think if you're going to do press coverage and going to try and get in the press, it has to be a project for a year, and it has to be something that you give a bit of time to almost every day. You have to be on it, whether it's responding to alerts on news page, whether it's looking what journalists are doing, whether it's trying to place stories. I think it's quite a big commitment. If you get it right, and as I said earlier, it is easier to get right than a lot of people think. If you get it right, the payoff can be huge. But that's why I put that on the could-do list. Disclosing fees online. Why is that on the could-do list? Because I think there's pros and cons for doing it. I'm becoming much more persuaded that firms should be doing it. I still see some issues. And the reason I'm becoming more pro doing it is because of AI and the effect that's going to have on that digital journey to people's door. And then lastly, speaking opportunities. I think I put this on the could-do list because, again, it takes some planning. You've got to get good at speaking in whatever medium you prefer, whether it's online like this, on podcasts, or what events. You then got to look out for opportunities, maybe reaching out to people who run events, run podcasts, run webinars, and offering yourself as a speaker. That takes time. Then you've got to work through all the nitty-gritty and ultimately get it filmed, get it presented, and then get it pushed out in public. So it can take some time. So for me, speaking opportunities is very much like press coverage. It's got to be something you're giving a lot of attention to, both in the prep, your abilities, and the promotion of it. But again, you start becoming known as a speaker on a certain topic. A, you'll get invited back to speak again, or by other people to speak on that topic. And B, it genuinely leads to inquiries. I can point to inquiries of the various different things I've spoken on this year. It's with a firm yesterday who came to us after seeing me speak on Abraham's podcast, Advisor 3.0. So it genuinely does work. So for me, on the must-do list, client testimonial videos, voucher reviews, Google reviews, and client survey results. On the should-do, awards and Glassdoor reviews. And on the could-do, accreditations, press coverage, disclosing fees online, and speaking opportunities.
And of course, filing your accounts on time, that's the must do as well, judging from what you've just said.
Yeah, that'd work. That'd help your brand management. Yeah, I would go along with that.
Yeah, peculiar, isn't it, where people end up? But you've got to watch all angles, I guess.
Yep. Can't control what they click. You can control what they see.
Mm.
Right. So 3 questions to take away today, guys. What will you do? When will you do it? And what help do you need? Can't go and sit your chartered exams for you. Can't go and sit G10, G60 if that's still a thing. Shows how old I am. But we can help you with everything else. Yeah. So if you need some help with everything else, whether it's producing a plan, must do, could do, should do list, or it's actually implementing the plan, pick up the phone to Abby, drop Abby an email, and we'll be very happy to help. Talking of Abby, next month, what we're doing?
Yes, thanks, Phil. You've only got us once next month, so obviously we had to make it a good one. And Phil doesn't rant very often, but I think if you have ever been on the receiving end of one of Phil's rants, it will probably have been about newsletters. So considering that newsletters and November is alliteration, and Phil also likes alliteration, and it's his birthday next month, we're going to let him have a bit of a rant on the 19th of November and have a chat about a lot of mistakes that we've been seeing recently, annoyingly basic and easily avoidable mistakes that you might be making with your newsletter and how to fix them in advance of the new year to make sure that your audience want to receive them. So you can scan the QR code, or I'll be putting the link in the follow-up email that I'll send later on today. So yeah, be cool if you could join us on the 19th of November for that.
Of course. Then you want to ask a favour, Abby?
I do. Well, it feels a bit crass, doesn't it, coming after we've just been telling you how important Google reviews are, but it also means that we practice what we preach. So since it's on the must-do list, it would be wrong of me not to say, could you please, if you have taken something away from the session today, leave us a Google review. The link will be in the follow-up email. I can't put it in the chat, as we said earlier, but yeah, I'll put it in the follow-up email. And yeah, just a few words. I know it's a big blank box and it's a bit scary, but just saying that whatever your feedback is would be much appreciated because it helps us improve our sessions in the future.
Thank you, Abby. Right, a couple of minutes just in case we've got any final questions down. We've done plenty on the way through, but we've got anything left?
We've got one from Kusal that asks if we could email over some remote online video testimonial examples. So why don't we put that on the follow-up, Abby, so everyone can benefit from those. So yes to that, Kusal, we can sort that out. Other than that, we don't have any more comments or questions.
No problem. If anybody wants to go and have a quick look at some videos, because this is what you want to do in the 2 minutes that you've got spare before 11 o'clock, go and Google a website called Druthers Financial Planning. Druthers, D-R-U-T-H-E-R-S. There's some good examples on their website. Go and have a look at Cheltenham IFA. There's some good examples there as well of videos that we've recorded remotely. Right, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the questions. Dan, thank you. Thank you, Abby. And we should be back next month to talk about newsletters. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.